Imagine a time when your fridge was a big block of ice and small elevators moved dinner from floor to floor. Today, we take a look at 10 old home features that have faded into history. Before the invention of electric refrigerators, iceboxes were a common household appliance used to keep food cold. An icebox, also known as a cold closet, was a non-mechanical refrigerator that became popular in the early 20th century. It worked by placing a large block of ice in a compartment at the top, and the cold air from the ice would circulate down to keep the food in the lower compartments cool. These iceboxes were made with hollow walls lined with materials like tin or zinc, and packed with insulating materials such as cork, sawdust or straw. People had to regularly replace the melted ice, usually by buying new ice from an iceman. The design of the icebox allowed for longer storage of perishable goods without the need for other preservation methods like smoking or drying. Transom windows are small windows you find above doors in many older buildings. They were really popular before air conditioning and heating systems became common. These windows could open to let fresh air in and help with ventilation while still keeping the room secure. They were high up, so they also let in more light without compromising privacy. To open these windows, people use special tools called transom operators. These windows are not just functional, but also add a unique architectural detail to buildings. In the 18th and 19th centuries, having a parlor in your home was a sign of social status. The parlor was where families would meet guests and show off their best furniture and art. It was often called the best room in the house because of how nicely it was decorated. This room was used for important family events like weddings, births, and funerals. The room was often kept closed when not in use to keep it clean and ready for visitors. Parlours had comfortable chairs, a sofa, and sometimes a piano for music. Over time, as homes changed and got TVs and other entertainment, the parlour became less common and turned into what we now call the living room. Servants' quarters were special areas in large houses where the staff lived and worked. These quarters were common from the late 17th century to the early 20th century. They were usually located in the basements and attics of smaller houses, and in larger houses, they were in a separate wing or block. The idea was to keep the servants close to where they were needed, but also out of sight from the main areas of the house. Servants' quarters were important because they tell us a lot about how people lived in the past. They show the differences between the rich and their servants and how this changed over time. Before indoor plumbing was common, wash basins and pitchers were essential in homes. A washstand, usually made of wood like mahogany or walnut, held these items. It was a small table or cabinet with legs, designed to hold a wash basin and a water pitcher. In the morning or before bed, people used these basins and pitchers for washing up. This was a daily routine before sinks and running water became standard in homes. Over time, as indoor plumbing developed, the need for washstands and pitchers decreased, making them less common in modern homes. Coal chutes were an essential part of many Victorian homes, especially before the widespread use of electricity. These chutes were usually located in the foundation wall and were made of metal. They had a hinged door that opened to an angled tunnel where coal trucks would deliver the week's fuel. The coal was dumped into a special room in the basement next to the furnace, and these rooms often have walls stained black even today. For homes without a coal chute, coal was carried in wheelbarrows or bags by workers known as lumpers. In wealthier homes, a device called the Riley stoker was used, which transported coal directly from a hopper to the furnace without manual shoveling. Knob and tube wiring was an early method of electrical wiring in buildings used from the 1880s to the 1930s. It involved single insulated copper conductors running through wall or ceiling cavities with porcelain insulating tubes and knobs to keep the wires in place. This type of wiring was common because it was less expensive than other methods at the time. However, it had some drawbacks, like not including a safety grounding conductor and being susceptible to mechanical damage. Over time, as electrical demands in homes increased, knob and tube wiring became outdated. Today, it's mostly a thing of the past, replaced by more modern and safer electrical wiring systems. Milk doors were a clever feature in old homes, used for daily milk deliveries. Back before everyone had refrigerators, almost every family got fresh milk delivered right to their door. These small, two-way insulated doors were built into the walls of homes and apartments. The milkman would place the milk in these cubbies from outside, and people could get it from the inside without going out. This was super handy because it kept the milk safe from animals and thieves, and it was easy for the homeowner. Milk doors were a big deal back then, making life easier for families before modern supermarkets and refrigeration changed everything. In the past, especially in large homes during the 19th and early 20th centuries, a butler's pantry was an important part of the home. It was a special room or area between the kitchen and the dining room, used mainly for storing and preparing to serve meals. The butler's pantry was where items like silverware, china, and large serving dishes were kept. It was also used for tasks like cleaning silver and counting items. In some homes, the butler even slept in the pantry to keep the silver safe. Today, butlers' pantries are still popular in some homes, often used as a place to set up meals and store dining items. Dumbwaiters are small freight elevators used to carry items, especially food, between floors and buildings. They were very popular in multi-story homes and are still found in some modern structures like restaurants and schools. Before electric motors were added in the 1920s, they were manually operated with ropes and pulleys. The mechanical dumbwaiter was invented by George W. Cannon in the late 19th century. These devices were designed to be smaller and less capable than passenger elevators, typically handling loads of a couple £100. Dumbwaiters helped in transporting laundry, food, and other items, making it easier to move things around large homes and buildings. Picture rails were a clever and stylish way to hang pictures in old houses. These rails were strips of moulding that ran along the walls near the ceiling. People would use hooks and wires to hang their pictures from the rails. This was really handy because it meant they didn't have to put holes in their plaster walls, which could be easily damaged. Picture rails were not just practical, they also added a decorative touch to the rooms. They were especially popular in homes built in the 19th and early 20th centuries, showing how people back then combined usefulness and style in their homes.